From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
I'm Lily here in Bozeman, where just last week, campers were lined up down the block here off Hemlock Street, bumper to bumper. But today, they're nowhere to be found. I'll tell you how our urban campers are adjusting to a new set of rules, just days after the ordinance went into effect.
I just don't know what people are supposed to do.
And Gallatin County commissioners are saying no to a proposal to build more affordable housing. Coming up, find out why the supervisors don't like the plan.
I mean, do you say no when Martin Scorsese calls?
And Browning raised member of the Blackfeet Nation may soon become a household name. We're going to sit down and talk with Lily Gladstone on her new movie and how she's using her fame to further a cause. Alrighty, it is 6:31 on this Friday edition of Montana This Morning. Jane McDonald and Matt Elwell with you. Matt, it's going to be a fun weekend. There is so much going on in Southwest
and we're
Montana.
going to go through different portions of this and give you some forecasts. The big thing to think about is temperatures are close to average, which means there is the potential of snow along with that, a little cooler as we're going through the end of the week. Temperatures this morning into the teens and 20s, cool enough that we do see some snow out there. You look at the satellite and radar, pretty quiet, and even through the mid part of the day, not much going. The morning's already had some snow west of the divide. It looks like we're going to be doing fine with temperatures. The winds remain light today. Snow on the ground in Butte. Looks like traffic's going along just fine. I'm not seeing any reports of accidents or major problems. We'll talk more about what that means for the weekend, of course, in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you very much, Matt. Now, right off the top, the Montana Drought Task Force has launched a new website and updated management plan. Now, this comes after several years of work and public engagement. The group met on Thursday in Helena to go over their latest milestone, and the plan includes a breakdown for drought response in Montana, who does what and when. It also includes a vulnerability assessment and analyzes how drought impacts different places and sectors, and a guide to drought monitoring. Task force members say the updated resource will help local and regional planners figure out where to direct resources during periods of drought.
What it means to have an updated drought plan is, first of all, it kind of documents and daylights who does what with drought management and response, which different agencies, local, state, federal, so people can have a clear idea of who's in charge of what. The vulnerability.
And the last time the Montana Drought Management Plan was updated was back in 1995. If you want to check out the new plan and accompanying website, you can visit drought.mt.gov. Now, our top story this half hour, some streets in Bozeman are clear of urban campers. A wish come true for some residents, but others are facing new struggles every day. MTN's Jolie Salee spoke with an urban camper who tells us how people are adjusting to a new ordinance that just went into effect. Urban campers in Bozeman are plotting their next move. Literally, a new ordinance has gone into effect that has them adjusting to a new set of rules.
I've been living here in Montana 45 years, and I've never had it like this.
Timothy Bump lives in this camper off Kimberwick.
All I have is my camper.
And he's lived in it for 4 years.
And this is not easy living like this.
He says it's tough trying to survive in Bozeman, but the enforcement of the ordinance requiring folks living like Bump to move their campers every 30 days just makes his situation harder.
I don't have anybody to pull this thing anywhere.
Over on West Hemlock Street, campers used to be lined up bumper to bumper down the block, but now it's just these little orange signs, a warning to urban campers that the area was to be vacated, effective on November 24th. The ordinance prohibits people from sleeping in trailers or RVs near homes, parks, schools, daycares, or within 100 feet of the entrance to a business. And although businesses on Hemlock may be happy to see their streets cleaned up,
No, we're just being pushed further and further away. I don't have any way of paying for the fine that we would get.
the rules of the ordinance also require that people keep all of their belongings inside their camper when not actively using them, and allows city officials to issue fines up to $25 after 3 warnings.
We have not issued any citations yet.
Assistant City Manager Chuck Wynn says they want to keep it that way.
In the last 3 days, city employees have been out in urban encampments educating folks on the new rules. But
there are some people that just aren't interested in following any rules, and we have to work with those folks in a different way.
the city is keeping track of urban campers or vehicles that have been in one place too long.
We're starting a records management system that has the trailer, the location, the contact information.
They're also placing yellow stickers on abandoned vehicles.
We are making a difference in this community. And if you talk to 100 people out in the street, you'll get 100 different stories about why they're there. And some of them are very compelling and heartfelt reasons. And we're trying to be compassionate with those folks, for sure.
But Bump says the entire situation just makes him feel helpless.
There's no light at the end of our tunnel. It's just really sad.
In Bozeman, Jolie Salee, MTN News.
And after funding and staffing issues caused the Livingston Warming Center to delay opening, the HRDC says it is excited that the center will now open ahead of schedule on December 4th. According to the agency, generous community donations and volunteers helped transform the center into a safe space for unhoused people. The HRDC adds that with further funding, it will be able to open the shelter during the daytime as well.
We had some generous donors come forward that donated funds to both extend our season on the front end and the back end so that we can open another additional about 40 days. And some community members stepped forward to help get the facility up and running.
And the HRDC says that the center now adds a designated family space there. And Gallatin County Commissioners rejected a proposal by the Bozeman Democratic Socialists of America. The group submitted a petition to county leaders to create more affordable housing by having government, businesses, and nonprofits work together. When the idea was first proposed back in August, county commissioners had concerns about what the group could accomplish.
Ultimately felt like it wouldn't add a lot of value other than it would create another layer of government. We'd have to appoint Housing Authority board members, but they wouldn't have any new tools that we don't already have today. So we decided that it wouldn't add a lot of value. The reality of it is that government is not in the position of building new housing very often. And certainly in Montana, we don't have the authorities to get very deep into that space.
Bozeman City Commissioners are expected to consider the Housing Authority during their December 12th meeting. And actor Lily Gladstone could be on her way to becoming a household name in Hollywood. But the Browning-raised member of the Blackfeet Nation is not forgetting her Montana roots. She stars opposite a pair of on-screen legends in her latest film, directed by one of the most recognizable names in the industry. MTN's Tim McGonigal had a chance to talk with the rising star about the role and how she's using her fame to bring awareness to Native issues.
You know, you got nice color skin. What color would you say that is?
My color.
In Killers of the Flower Moon, Lily Gladstone plays the role of Molly Kyle. Starring alongside Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro, the film, directed by Martin Scorsese, tells the story of suspicious murders of members of the Osage Nation, who became some of the richest people in the world after the discovery of oil under their land. On one hand, it was an easy role to accept.
I mean, do you say no when Martin Scorsese calls?
I don't mean to keep you from getting to work or anything. I just knew if I didn't start driving, I wasn't going to see you again.
It was Gladstone's breakout performance in the critically acclaimed 2016 film Certain Women that helped her land the role in the screen adaptation of author David Grann's 2017 book, which after reading, Lily says gave her an immediate response to who Molly was, based largely on stories she heard about her own great-grandmother and namesake.
I've grown up hearing stories about how she was in public, how she was in private with family, the blend of traditionalism, being a very traditional Blackfoot woman, but also being a very devout Catholic. There were a lot of similarities I felt like I could draw on.
While she didn't know the story of Molly before the book, through her early love of ballet, she was aware of an Osage performing icon.
My parents let me know about Maria Tallchief, the America's first prima ballerina who's Osage from Fairfax, the same town where A lot of the film takes place, same town where the Kyle sisters lived closest to.
And she remembers learning about Osage oil wealth and the classic story depicted in the film.
In those early days, the first generation that had this money, they would be driving around these, Rolls Royces, and then the car would run out of gas, and they'd just leave it and then go buy another one.
Gladstone says she's grateful the increased notoriety with the film is affording her an opportunity to address other key issues facing Native Americans, including a documentary on missing and murdered Indigenous women, which she's executive producing and narrating.
One of the most heavily featured stories in that one is Ashley Loring, Heavy Runner. Absolutely. I hope that any recognition that I garner through this period eventually goes back to where it's supposed to go.
In Great Falls, Tim McGonigal, MTN News.
An incredible mission. Thank you very much, Tim, for sharing that story with us. Now it's 6:41. We're going to take a short break here on Montana This Morning, but when we come back, it's the holidays, and for many that means sifting through photos to send out some cards. Well, we have ideas for you coming up next.
I'm John Matteries. Tired of sending and receiving the same holiday cards every year? We've got some great creative things you can do this year